Hello and welcome to another episode of BME Health Collaborative podcast, Together We Can. And today we have one of our trustees, Leonard, who will be speaking with us. Welcome, Leonard.
Hello, Steve. Greetings, family, wherever you are. My name is Leonard Phillip, and I am the community lead for audit, risk, and governance of the BAME Health Collaborative. Welcome to this evening's show.
Can you tell us about your background?
So, I am one of not many non-health professionals on BAME Health Collaborative. My background is I was a former police officer from Trinidad and Tobago. I was also involved in investigation of war crimes in former Yugoslavia, and I also did the Iraq oil for food investigation. In terms of my current career, I am an anti-financial crime subject matter expert working in the City of London over the past 15 years. And my role involves investigations of anti-money laundering, counter-terrorist financing, fraud, bribery, and corruption. And my role within BAME, Health Collaborative, has to do with oversight and of accountability and responsibility of how we go about our business as an organization. So that is my expertise and what I do.
Okay, thanks.
Do you want to tell us about yourself, Steve?
Yes, I am one of the trustees, specialize in health informatics and special interest in mental health. I have spent a significant amount of my working life within the National Health Service across all levels of care. I've sat on a number of boards and been involved in a number of major national projects in the field of health informatics. And currently I work as an independent consultant in primary care with the American General Practices.
That's very interesting. It's so interesting that in June of this year, Public Health England published a report highlighting the impact that COVID-19 has had on the BAME community and certain other disproportionate communities like elders and so on. What attracted you? And is interestingly enough, that is around June that our illustrious leader and chair, Michaeline Holder, established this BAME Health Collaborative. What attracted you to BAME, and how do you feel about the organization and the work it's doing?
Okay, well, I've worked with Michaeline, and I have a particular interest in the BME engagement in the health and social care economy as a whole. Like I said earlier on, I've sat on a number of boards, so I've been at the top of the helm. But what struck me is the lack of visibility of representation from the BME community. So therefore, when Michaeline threw open the project, I felt it was a worthy one and signed up to it without hesitation.
Absolutely. It was the same for me, actually. When Michaeline mentioned it, I think with all, and it's unfortunate, I don't think any of us were prepared, and certainly from the history of how it was handled at the highest levels in most countries, or in a lot of countries, there have been challenges, a number of mixed messages. So when an organization like BAME Health Collaborative comes around and, giving clear guidance, guidance from medical expert people who understand the challenges of what is transpiring, that is what attracted me to be a part of and to be supporting this organization. And I know definitely they're not only, people from the BAME community involved in this organization. There's a wider audience who is very much attracted to supporting this organization and the efforts in terms of education, in terms of clinical research, in terms of all of the work that we intend to do to, support our community.
Yes, and really, it is represented by our strapline, Together We Can. So it's really embracing all members of the community in contributing to the whole area of healthcare. So, but have you got any views on the BME and the COVID-19 pandemic?
So yeah, as I said earlier, it was and it may not just be COVID-19, but I think the BAME community, just by reason of our social status, of where we sit in society, we are largely the workers who have to be out there to provide for our family, and as a result of our social status and our interaction with society, it appears that BAME has had an adverse impact or a bigger impact on our health in terms of the number of confirmed cases, the number of deaths, even within the National Health Service. So it's on that basis, I think, an organization like ours, educating people in our community about staying safe, about not being too confused by the mixed information that is being shared out there, but just being focused, trying to stay safe, trying to do what is to keep yourself safe in terms of your diet, you're getting some sunshine where you can, etc. But it has had globally an impact on the BAME community. So I'm keen to be a part of an organization that can contribute in a healthy way to us looking after each other. And what about you, Steve?
Well, I echo most of the sentiment you've expressed, but in addition to that, there is supporting the community as a whole in relation to clarifying some of the myths and information that are coming out. And there are quite a bit of information that has been generated to try and explain why the BME community has been impacted so heavily with COVID-19. And the jury is still out. But nevertheless, I think across our group, we have got some degree of knowledge that can help the community in sifting through the array of information intelligence that are coming out to try and explain this challenge.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
Can we have a chat about men and mental health, well-being, employment, that sort of area? What's your views?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you asked that question because, as I said, I work in the city. I work for a financial institution, and recently one of my colleagues who contracted COVID, and he had quite a difficult time in coping. Not only did he contract COVID, and his family had to separate from him, so he had to stay at home and cope by himself. So besides dealing with the physical illness, there's that mental challenge that he had to go through with very little support. Probably after 10 days of his struggles, I had a conversation with him, and he tried to keep it away from. He, like me, migrated to this country a number of years ago, so he doesn't have a wider community supporting him here. And that's what I would say for the people in our community who are struggling not only with COVID, but with employment. There are a number of people who have lost their jobs. You hear the number of industries, the service industries, the hotel industries, restaurants. People are struggling big time in terms of coping with COVID, not only on a physical but on a mental level. And I think given the expertise of, within this group in BIM, I think that we can contribute significantly to giving people an avenue, somebody that they can speak to. As I said earlier, my colleague didn't have anybody to speak to for a long time. And, by the time he spoke to me, he broke down in tears, etc. But people just need an avenue to be able to, communicate and get, at least some assurance that, whatever it is that these things as a community. And the more community support we have, the better we will all, deal with this challenge.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Within the BHC, we do have a range of expertise, particularly in the mental health and mindfulness, and I hope and believe we can bring that to bear to share and effect our strapline together. We can assist those men who have those challenges with mental health or just well-being and keeping safe.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. And one of the other things would be, I think one of the strategies of the group is education. And I think where we, that's one of the things we need. We need to educate people. We need to give people information that they could assimilate very easily, clear language, we've seen the history of confusion, but in terms of education, I think education is very, very key in terms of what we can contribute to the society, in terms of helping people to, and I know Michaeline is very good at it. At one of our earlier, shows, she spoke about wearing the mask, how to wear a mask, and other, simple advice that we probably take for granted, but we need to keep reiterating the importance of keeping your distance, keeping safe, wearing your mask, and that type of information and education will go a long way to keeping us safe as a community. What are your thoughts on that, Steve?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, there is an awful lot of data around, and I come from the school whereby there's what I call a chain. So data is the start of that, and then the data has to be converted to information, and information to intelligence, and intelligence to insight. And it's the insight that helps to inform all of us what it is, what is the data telling us. And I think we have a role using the expertise within us to facilitate that for the community as a whole.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
Just looking at some of the coping strategies for men in the current climate, have you got a view on those?
As I say, I think, for me, I think the best thing is to, get some exercise, speak to somebody, make sure that, you have a community around you. Beside your family, you have your community around you, somebody you can speak to. And now, with modern technology, you do not need to travel anywhere. You do not need to visit. We can, simple as we are doing this show at the moment, you can stay here and communicate with family far and wide. I think in terms of I recommend speak. The first thing you must understand, you're not alone, and you need to speak with somebody. Communication and expressing how you feel, which is a challenge men have when it comes to most illnesses, I think is key for us to reach out, communicate with people, and communicate with our community to get that kind of support that will help us, survive, the rest of whatever this COVID-19 period is going to last.
I think you're absolutely right. We have in the current climate a range of facilities available to us as men. We have social media that enable us to communicate in a variety of forms, by chat, face to face, and linking with friends and families far and wide. And while there may be negative talk about some of the social media, there are an extensive positive element of them that we can tap into. And in particular, the Zooms and the Google Talk and so forth do go somewhere in facilitating those this togetherness. It will be back together we can, in effect.
That's right. Together we can. And you're right. I mean, a lot of people learn new skills. A lot of people, during the sort of initial lockdown, took the opportunity to get used to using technology, to get used to using, their cell phones or their iPads or their laptops. So a lot of new skills have been learned during this period. A lot of people took the time out to do some reading, to do some writing, to help. So those are other ways that you can sort of take advantage of the time. I know we've sort of moved people back to work now, or a lot of people are back to work. But if unfortunately you find yourself in a place where you haven't gone back to work, you're still in a lockdown situation, I think you should take advantage of this time and try and do something positive, read something, write something, learn a new skill during this time, which I think will help you cope. And when this is all over, you'll be able to look back and say, I did this during COVID-19 in 2020.
And again, I think you're right. And I think BHC can play a role in supporting the community as a whole and individuals to navigate through those challenges. The expertise that's among us should be able to facilitate and help.
Definitely. So what do you have any concern? What would be your main concerns for the BAME community, during the, this sort of ensuing crisis? Do you have any, what would be your main concerns?
Well, my main concern is that we don't get too sidelined, that we push for a much more integrated approach, so that we can benefit from each other, synergistically, rather than isolate ourselves and just beaver away, thinking, well, there's no one out there, I'm on my own, and so forth. So I really think that the approach and the vision that BHC has is the order to take us forward as a community as a whole, and in particular in the current climate in which we're in with this COVID-19 pandemic.
Indeed. And you,
either lockdown or semi-lockdown.
Yes, indeed. And you made some very good points. I think we quite a new organization, as I said. This is all started in June of this year. And hi, Michaeline. I was just going to mention your name.
I thought I might as well join this interesting chat, because I think we have to actually talk about BAME health, and we have to address the concerns that is happening, and it's COVID. What are we going to do? That's right. I mean, what are we going to do? I mean, it's really important for us to recognize that it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that, and it's what we're going to do. And I'm so glad that, you both are here, because you are part of BHC, and the navigation to go forward is really the key. And I was listening to you guys. I'm sorry, but I had to come out to say, yes, I love this. Men are watching from all walks of life. And for the very first time, men are confronted with, oh my God, I may be furloughed. I may not have a job. The job may not exist anymore. I've got children at home now. They're not at school. They're going back to school, but they're going back to school and can be sent home because guess what? One child in that class have COVID and they send them back home.
That's right.
Babysitting expenses. When children at home is more mouths to feed, more grocery bills. Yeah. Wife, partner, whoever could become infected. What do we do?
Yep.
And it's that sort of mental health twists and social issues that BHC cannot stand away from. We can't say, oh, well, it's not, we can't. We have to address it. And it's really important that you, both of you, who are actually in a household. I mean, like Leonard, you have kids. I mean, they're more adulty, latter teens. But still, if they're home, they eat more.
Of course,
so because you have to think about that, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right.
Same thing, Stephen. So, I mean, for men who are looking, what are we going to say to them? How do they keep their mental well-being? Are you keeping fit? Are you going to the gym? What are you doing? Because frustration, it's going to kick in.
That's right.
Well, I mean, one of the things that has to be borne in mind is that fitness is not just physical. Yeah. So there's the mental fit. I mean, you can do some reading. Yeah. You could get into some crosswords or Sudoku, what I call mental aerobics. Right. Get into meditation. Have a conversation with someone. And there's where I think perhaps with our range of specialism, that we may be able to offer some support in the line of talking therapies. Just someone you can have a conversation
that's a really good idea, because men are not like us women. We are really butterflies. We meet a woman like 1 second ago, we're like, baby girl. Men are like, wow, okay. Is that the bonding takes a long, long time.
That's right.
Doesn't it? It takes a really long time for that bonding to occur, for them to voice their concerns and their fears. So I do believe talking therapies is a great idea, and I think BHC really should look at that. And for people who are listening and watching, if you can help us and want to be part of our organization, we welcome you on board, because together we can. All of us, nobody here. We need you. We need you to jump on board and go, I can help. Because if BHC could help one person, then we've done a great job.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right. And again, the demographics of the community that we're targeting, I think is very important, because some people may not go to be able to go to the gym, but you can go for a walk. If there's a quiet road near where you live, you go for a walk, you try and, get your heart rate. A brisk walk is going to get your heart rate up. If the sun is out, definitely sit in the sun, read in the sun. That's what my family has been doing for the entire lockdown. And we had some pretty good weather in the UK. And during the lockdown, we would sit outside in the sun and read a couple of chapters and just absorbing that vitamin D, that natural vitamin D. I think is one of the ways that you can, help to get yourself, on track, keep your mind going, to keep, it's going to be a tough time. Mentally, it's a tough time. As I mentioned earlier, I had a colleague who contracted COVID and he struggled. And in my mind, from our conversation, he struggled more mentally than actually dealing with physical illness. So, yeah. But very good points, Michaeline.
And there's another part of it as well, for parents who have students who have just gone off to university. I mean, when I went off to university, the first year was really, having a good time, student union. And I'm not ashamed to shout out my university, UEL, having a great time. For students now, they go into leaving home and they're going to an environment where they are going to be isolated. They can't move around. They are restricted. It's back to virtual classes, a lot of issues. So they also have sort of mental health challenges that they are
Sure.
going to face. And within that, the BAME community, we have to actually recognize that our young people are our tomorrow.
That's
And
right.
once they go off into university, we have to keep connected. And when we
Yes.
keep connected, we shouldn't be talking about what they wear or how they look. We need to talk about their mental well-being. Sweetheart, what do you need? An aunt, an uncle, a cousin. You can connect with that person. And before we go, I just want to ask you all we have just a few minutes. I'm so glad to just hop on. This is called what you call when you crash a party. Yeah? I crashed the party.
Yes.
So as a crash the party, I'll come to you, Steve, quickly. Give us the last few words for today.
Well, I think that what we have is a narrative goal going forward, and we have an appropriate strapline. Together we can. We reflect the diversity of our community as a whole, and among us, we have a range of skills and expertise that could facilitate that bonding, that coming together, that enabling.
Thank you. And Leonard, what is your word? Let's hear your words for today. What is your last
I
few
would
words?
say, listen, first I'd like to say I'm extremely proud to be part of BAME Health Collaborative and to contribute in a positive way to uplifting our community in this time of need. But as we say, together we can. We have the support of many, many people of all backgrounds at BHC, and it is our intention to work together to achieve the goals that we set for ourselves. So, Michaeline, congratulations, but together we can. Those are my final words today.
Okay, my final words today. I'd like for you all to join me to thank TV3 Bangala. They have been incredibly supportive. They have extended their platform for us, and we want to say thank you so much for all our imperfections, all of that. Thank you so much. We also want to thank our ambassador, Monil Hassan, who also encouraged his daughter to join us as well as a community lead for psychology and mental health. So we really please, that kind of support, you can't beat it. We want to thank all the committee leads. We want to thank all the ambassadors, all the special advisors, and all the trustees. I can't do it on my own. I don't want to hear my name anymore. Together we can. Come on, let's say
we can.
Exactly.
We can.
We can. Together we can.
Together
Thank
we
you
can.
so much.
Together we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.